Hi gardening friends, I'm Lark and I'm in Wisconsin, Zone 5. This is my first video of the season for the BOG container garden. It's a nice overcast day today, so it's great for gardening and taping. Last fall I prepared this bed here with a greenhouse frame over it for my blueberries. I chicken wired it so the deer don't lean in and also the bunnies can't get in. Now I have a lot of deer around here and I only have a 3 to 4 foot fence around the garden. Over here it is very crowded and there seems to be no clear shot for the deer to get in without hurting themselves and maybe breaking a leg, which I hope they don't do because I don't know how I get them out. I have to ask my neighbor Hunter to pull them out, but that's not going to happen. I use Rubbermaid tote containers or large pots for growing in my bog area. It's very wet under this bark here, so I cannot grow directly in it, but I can sink the pots in and hope that they wick some of the nutrients from the bog area. I amended the pots with compost, unfinished compost on the bottom last year, so it's probably finished now. And then a mixture of topsoil, compost, peat moss, worm castings, and this year I added some garden tone fertilizer. I think it's an organic Espona, Espona. I don't recall exactly the name. Here I am trying some scarlet runner beans just because I want it to be really pretty and the hummingbirds should like it. Plus I hear you can eat the young beans. Broccoli, nope, that's not broccoli, kohlrabi. I was having trouble with the cabbage moth in the beginning, but I started picking the worms off and squishing the eggs, and now I have it under control. And the new foliage is uneaten. So almost daily I check. My jalapeno peppers were started in the house. Let me see, here's a little one. And I use the paper towel method for starting the seeds. That way I plant only the ones that germinate. I had trouble with spider mites, and I used soapy water 3 times when they were growing up on the deck and in the house. And it corrected it. Now I have cucumber beetle. It's really playing a number on my plants if you watched my other garden video. But they can eat the perennial bed. I'm just really keeping them controlled in the veggie garden, trying to pick them. This is another poblano, and I did not start that one from seed. But I did prune it when I bought it, and there's a lot of new growth in there. I mulch the soil with grass clippings, and I put worm castings in there so I know there's worms in, because I don't pick every single worm out of my worm harvest, my worm poop harvest. I grow flowers down here also because then it attracts a lot of the beneficial insects. Chamomiles over here, which I harvest daily. Monotonous picking each little flower, but I like chamomile tea, and I make a strong infusion tea for my skin and hair, and it's free. some amaranth growing in here too. I hope the cucumber beetle doesn't find it. It has in other places, and there's lots of holes in it, but there's a lot on my property. So it's the burgundy-leafed amaranth. Nice for eating. Up at the flagpole area where I have annuals planted, I have tons of it, so I'll be pulling it out and eating it in my salads. And then leaving some to grow around the flagpole so it's pretty. These are my potatoes, and these are the red ones. They're just coming up. The yellow have been up for a while. And guess what? The cucumber beetle likes those too. So I really have to watch them. I have several comfrey plants down here, which I've harvested already. But I have it in several places, so it's easy to mulch the garden or start a bucket of comfrey tea. I don't have to haul it. It's in several places where I use it. This tomato is big beef, and I started these also from seed and did the paper towel method for germination, and then grew them in my clear mini totes and used them as a greenhouse. I used twigs for TPing. Last year I just used tomato cages that were stuck in the pot, and it got top heavy and fell over. So this year I twigged it right into the BOG, and also used the metal tomato cage and twine, and then knotted it up on top. I hope that works. I'm sure they're going to outgrow this too. Now I happen to believe that more foliage on the plant is better. It sends more energy to the plant instead of just doing single stem, but to each his own. I try to avoid blight by pruning out the bottom branches and some of the branches in there so I get some airflow. I do get blight. Sooner or later I get blight, but I just want to prolong it. Another big beef. Now this is Wisconsin without a greenhouse, and that tomato is a pretty nice size already. I'm hoping it's good, and I wonder when it's going to ripen. Daddy Longlegs, I hope it's doing its job in eating some bad bugs. I did have little red, I don't know if they were spider mites. I didn't see webs, but I saw little red on my peppers. My poor peppers. Aphids, spider mites, cucumber beetles. Wow. Gardening is challenging. This is a yucky looking brandy wine. It is recovering. Believe it or not, that's looking better than what it was. I hope it comes back. Of course, I'm going to let it sucker so it gets much fuller. And it is suckering already. The new growth looks decent. This is an old fire pit that I use for my lettuces, sometimes radishes. And I planted it the other, 3 days ago. Really overplanted. I want it thick. And I kept the black plastic here because we had torrential rain, so I covered it up when it rained. Again, TP twigging. Here I'm growing some celery in the ground. Not blanching it this year. As I said in my other video, I had bad luck with blanching it with newspaper. It held in too much moisture on the bottom, and the bugs just loved it. So we're trying it this way this year. It seemed to work better. A few of them last year I didn't blanch, and they had cleaner stems on them. Peas on the other side of this cattle fencing, hog fencing, whatever you want to call it. I found it at the dump for free and brought it home and arched it into the bog and then rebarred it to some metal posts. Yep, I like rust, and I really don't think it's going to hurt us. At least not because I'm older. I don't think it's going to have any effect on me right now. Could be wrong. Green onions from seed, and they do good in containers. I can watch them a little bit more here and like support them up when they're falling over. And I mulched again with grass clippings. Japanese red mustard comes up every year all by itself. Sugar snap peas. My family loves them. And I use string to help support them to the arch because we had high winds and I was afraid they'd snap. Over here I have the Vortex pole beans growing up twigs that I have, about a third up from the bottom of the trellis because I want them to start trellising up here, not down below, because down below they get intertwined with the peas and it's hard to pull out the peas then when they're done and plant something else. So I learned to have them trellis higher this year. I think that might work better. The large pots and totes are buried in the bog. Only a few inches, but they're buried in the bog with holes in the bottom. Here I have some red noodle beans, and this is on the the west side of the arch, so it doesn't get all day sun. I had a few red noodle beans left over, so I decided to put them over here, and then they'll climb up the trellis once the peas are done. Do I like the taste of the red noodle bean better than like Kentucky Wonder or what is the other one? Vortex? No, but they're pretty. And they're a conversation piece because they're like 3 foot long and purple. I said those beans were Vortex. They're not. They're Kentucky Wonder. Vortex are up in the other garden. New tomato this year is called Chadwick because in the beginning of the season I could not find Juliet, and then I ordered some seeds online and got Juliet. But we're trying Chadwick. Really nice green foliage and healthy, and I don't know how long it'll be before I harvest these tomatoes, but there's a nice clump there. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I'm going to have them sooner than I thought I would. Oh, this one here is another. Oh no, this is calendula. Celebrity. Doing okay. Bell peppers have some yucky foliage, but the new stuff is coming on good. This happens to be the yellow bell, and I just put in some basil, and these are beets. Detroit red, and then some ones called bull's blood. But I have peppers on here, and that's good for me. And not only Wisconsin, but good for me, because I've never grown good bell peppers where they produced before a frost. So this year, starting them like February 1st, I think, I did good. So far, so good. Red noodle bean in a container, and it's going to grow up this fencing. Now, I have the pallets over there because the deer love this bog area, and they would love to take a run and jump up and over this short 4-foot fence into my garden, except this is what they would run into. So I think this confuses them, and they decide, let's not jump. Let's just walk around the bog and eat bog plants. I hope that's what they're thinking. Radishes. Guess what? I'm not good at growing radishes either. So I decided to try them in a container. And the greens, of course, look beautiful. And it looks like I'm going to get some radishes. In a couple days I'll pick, I think. And I got to get them out of here because I have some salad, those lunch onions to put in here that I started from seed, and they're little plants right now. This one here is a red bell and some more basil. Some more red noodle bean. I just want that whole fence covered with something. Next year it'll be cucumbers on that fence, just with crop rotation. This pathetic plant is an Amish paste. Amish paste always looked yucky for me in the beginning. Believe it or not, this looks better than what it did. I cut off the yucky leaves, and now the new growth is looking much better. Here are some just starting. And then green bell peppers. So I have red, green, and yellow. And more radishes. Cayenne pepper. Doing okay. I pruned all my peppers twice this year while they were growing in the house. And the stalks just are sturdier this year. Last year this time they were very spindly. Now my challenge, the cucumbers and the cucumber beetles. Right here. Got them in old wash tubs. Check the foliage daily for cucumber beetle. They love hiding in there. And of course under leaves. But so far, so good. Really, I had a lot of yucky leaves, like those seedling leaves, all yellow and white and yucky looking and brown. So I went on to Golden Harvest Organics, I think his site is called. And they said plant calendula was one of the choices, and I happen to have calendula. So I planted calendula in here, some reseeds that were coming up in the bark mulch here. Like right there, you see that reseed coming up. I'll leave that one grow because it's in the center of all these. And it says it's supposed to help deter the cucumber beetle. I think everybody and his mother cucumber beetle is up in my perennial bed. So there's not too many down here. I think they heard that I drop them in a container of soapy water if they get in my veggie garden. So I just keep this container down here, and then I drop the bugs in there. But I have to be sneaky because if I come close with my hand, they jump away. So I use this little stick to knock them in to the pot. And I seem to get more that way. You gotta do what you gotta do. So, cucumber plants don't look pretty, but they're hanging in there. And it's given me some cucumber, well, it's about to give me some cucumbers. Here's one. That's a nice size right now. Not pickable yet, but a nice size. So I'm hoping this works. And lots of twigging on this one, because I think it needs more support. And then this tomato here is another Polish linguiça. I talked about it up in my West Veggie garden. Very meaty tomato, like a paste, but bigger. And then even though it's pretty windy, I tickle these every day. so I get more tomatoes, hopefully. And again, I let flowers grow down here. It's yellow flag. And then this is going to be a pretty, what is that? Cotton candy pink plume. Queen of the Prairie. And then pickle bush on the other side of the fence. I had some leftovers and some old seeds. Used the paper towel method and just planted the germinating seeds. These here are pickle bushes too. Not a favorite of mine. At least they weren't, because the years past they got fungus or the blight real easy. But we'll check and see what they do this year. So far they aren't doing much. Now I planted blueberries, like I said, in this frame of this greenhouse. And I planted 3 different kinds. This one is Chippewa. They're 2-year-old plants, and I'm getting new growth on them. I'm watching to see if the cucumber beetle likes blueberries. And then this one here is northern blue. And can you see? I have some blueberries. I should have probably pulled them off the flowers, but I wanted to have a few just to taste. And then the other plant is Polaris. And they're medium heights, different heights, short, medium, and taller. And also, I got early season and mid season. 2 of them are mid and 1 is early. And I didn't get a late season because we'll get a frost by then and it'll wreck them. So I just got mid and late. Now my idea, once the birds discover that I have blueberries in a couple years, that I can drape a bird netting over the top of the greenhouse frame and then drop it, roll it up here if I want, and then drop it when I'm not picking. Just keep it closed up until I pick. The soil is amended with compost topsoil and then the BOG native soil, and I put in coffee grounds, and what did Patrick from 1 Yard Revolution tell me? Soil acidifier. I bought some of that too, and I'm hoping that's good. And I built it up high enough that it shouldn't be sitting in standing water, but it is moist. I don't think it ever dries out down here. So I'm hoping that it's good and that they like it. More perennials ready to pop. So container gardening down here is not too bad, because I don't like containers because you have to water so much or put in a watering system. But down here they seem to stay moist, more moist, being in the bog. So I hope that works. Leftover plants, some more cucumbers. I think these are Market Moors. And some cayenne peppers left over. I'll be sharing. I can't possibly eat all those cayenne peppers, and I like spicy. My chamomile, great blue lobelia, another herb, an old lilac that my parents moved over winter. I sold their home in rummage sales and eBays, and I was so busy. And I got a lilac from their yard that when I was a little girl, I got some sprigs of it. So down here in the bog, it's just going to stay healthy for a while till I find a home for it. But at least I have a plant from when I was a little girl, which was a few years ago. Plantain, which I make an oil infusion from. See the seed pod? Spiky. Pull a leaf. See the strings? Fibrous. The vertical veining. Plantain. Great herb. Great, great, great. Great for the skin. Great for bites. Great for rashes. More flowers coming up in here, probably reseeds of, what is that? That's a Gloriosa daisy. Lots of Gloriosa daisies in here. Lobelia, a poppy, an annual poppy, geranium. Just trying to make it easier on me, letting things come back. Have to hill those. Old compost pile back there. New compost pile, which I covered because we were getting too much rain. And then these potatoes are planted in last year's compost, the bottom pile. You know, after I used the compost on those containers in there, the soil was really good here, so I planted my potatoes in it. Especially those. That's a new area. This here, the potatoes were planted last year in part of this area. I know I did wrong because you're supposed to rotate, but next year all these potatoes will go over here. So then I will rotate, and then this area over here will be a third area for rotating. I'll take the pallets up. You can see I have cardboard down to kill all of the vegetation that is like that thick, so I can plant my potatoes there the following year. So that's it, my gardening friends. A look at my bog garden in containers, and we'll see how it does with the dog days of summer. Right now it looks pretty good in my eyes. I'm trying so hard to stay positive with that negative cucumber beetle that's making a mess of my garden. It's the striped cucumber beetle. And there's probably other bad bugs in there too, but I just don't know them right now. I know the squash bug, and I know to watch for the squash vine borer, but trying to stay positive on the good stuff. So take care, my gardening friends, and I will try to do an update probably in 2 weeks. Show you how it's progressing. And I do love to see how your gardens are progressing. It's like walking your garden with you, except I can't be there, and I wish I could be. It's so fun to have gardening friends like you. Wish my neighbors liked gardening as much as I did, or like you do. Take care. Bye-bye.